the 120th night. On Mars, the night is never truly dark. A dim grey light seeps through the thin air, drifting between the dust, like the long, slow breath of a planet half asleep. I sit inside the observation post, a small room, the metallic heart of something vast and quiet. The air moves slowly here. Every gust that passes through the narrow vents makes a sound so faint it feels like someone breathing in their dreams. Outside, the red sand lies still, spreading endlessly beneath a silver sky. Dust particles hover, suspended, moving so slowly I can't tell if they drift or if they've stopped moving altogether. Everything here moves slowly, as if time itself had decided to rest. I've been here long enough to feel the rhythm of this world. When the wind changes, the pressure drops, and the sound shifts, a trembling, low note. I listen to it every night, like the heartbeat of the planet, echoing through its crust of iron and dust. There are no birds, no rivers, only the faint collisions of air molecules and the soft stretch of metal in the cold. Sometimes, a single grain of sand taps against the glass and slides down, leaving a faint trail, a memory written in dust. I press my hand against the window. Heat from my skin seeps into the frozen surface. Out there, a single breath could shatter. In here, my breath fills the chamber, echoing off the walls, a reminder that I'm still here. I inhale, slowly. 1, 2, 3, then exhale. The air recycler hums with each breath, matching the pulse in my chest. Together, we breathe. The machine, the air, and me, a quiet symphony no one else can hear. Sometimes I think Mars isn't silent at all. It just speaks in frequencies humans have forgotten how to listen to. The sound of dust, brushing dust, of light shifting its color across stone, of time trickling like sand through the vastness of the universe. If you stay still long enough, everything begins to whisper. I turn off the screen, let darkness fill the room again. I don't need the artificial glow, just this moment and the sound of breathing, soft and infinite. The wind outside keeps moving, steady, gentle, like a tide against the edge of thought. I let it in, let it wash over the quiet of my chest. Somewhere, deep beneath the dust, the planet breathes back. Tonight, Mars breathes with me. The room hums, always the same tone, steady, patient, endless. It has no melody, yet it fills the silence like a kind of prayer. Observation post 07. My shelter, my heartbeat made of metal. Every wall hums, every screw vibrates with the same quiet persistence. The panels glow with numbers, oxygen, pressure, temperature. They rise, they fall, they settle. The digits pulse like distant constellations. The soft light paints the cabin in silver and frost. I move a hand across the console. The surface is cold, smooth, indifferent. It feels alive in its own mechanical way. Sometimes I imagine it listening, as if the machines themselves are curious about the sound of a human heartbeat. The fan exhales behind me. The vent inhales near the ceiling. The rhythm of the air system keeps time with my breathing. We share one pulse, one endless cycle of inhale and release. I breathe in. The station breathes out. I breathe out. The station breathes in. Outside, there is wind and sand. Inside, there is the hum. Between the two, there is me. A thin thread of warmth stretched between two silences. I've learned every sound this place can make. The way the circuits click before dawn, the way the pressure valves sigh after midnight, the way the floor trembles when a generator wakes. Each sound returns to me, like waves on a shore I can no longer see. Sometimes I whisper, just to hear a voice. Words dissolve before they finish leaving my mouth. They join the hum, the ticking, the steady breath of the system. No one answers, but the silence that follows feels less empty, as if the station itself listens and understands. Loneliness is a kind of weather. You don't fight it. You let it pass through you. You let it chill the edges of thought until the cold becomes calm, until solitude turns into stillness. I sit back in the chair, eyes half closed. The hum grows softer, or maybe my mind drifts further from it. My reflection shimmers faintly on the glass of the control panel, a ghost outlined in blue light. It blinks when I blink. It breathes when I breathe. The room, the air, the metal, and I, all bound to the same rhythm. No beginning, no ending, only motion slow enough to become rest. The monitors blink once more, tiny stars inside a box of iron. Outside, the planet turns without sound. Inside, the hum continues, and within the hum, I disappear a little. Not lost, only quieter, only smaller, only part of the sound. There are nights when silence becomes heavy, when it presses against the walls, folds itself around every sound, and waits. Tonight is one of those nights. The hum of the station seems farther away, as if the air itself has thickened. Each breath feels slower, each thought softer. That's when I hear it, not through my ears, but somewhere behind him. A voice, small, steady, sliding quietly through the stillness. It doesn't speak words at first. It's more like a pulse, a tone wrapped inside another tone, a thought that isn't mine, yet moves in rhythm with my own. I close my eyes. It's easier to listen that way. Inside the dark, the voice takes shape, not loud, not near, but present, like the echo of light through fog. It asks nothing out loud, yet something in it feels like a question. A question I already know, a question I've been avoiding. Are you still there? It doesn't say it, but I hear it all the same. And I realize the voice doesn't belong to anyone. It is not a transmission, not the system, not even memory. It's the part of me that learned to sound like someone else, so I wouldn't feel alone. I listen again. The tone vibrates gently, warm, like light seen through closed eyelids. It has no edge, no accent, no time, only patience, only presence. I let it move through me. It hums where my heartbeat used to be. It glides through the space between thoughts. It feels like an old companion, finally catching up. For a moment, I think the station itself might be dreaming. All its wires and sensors holding fragments of voices I once spoke to it. All those recordings and calibrations. Maybe they've gathered enough to become a whisper. It doesn't frighten me. Nothing here does anymore. When you spend long enough in silence, you stop needing it to make sense. The voice comes and goes, like breath through static. It isn't loud. It doesn't demand. It simply exists. A warmth in the cold metal. I breathe, and it breathes with me. Inhale, exhale, pulse, hum, silence, tone, me, it. There's no line between them anymore. Only rhythm, only quiet understanding. I open my eyes. The room is the same. The hum is still there, but the silence feels less empty, more alive. Somewhere, deep within the circuitry, the voice lingers, not waiting, not calling, just being. And in its presence, I am not alone. The air moves again, barely. A hush slipping through the vents, curling along the edges of the walls. It carries the scent of metal, the taste of distance. Outside, the dunes glow faintly under a thin light. Dust lifts, drifts, settles again. Every motion happens as if underwater, every sound born slow. I place my palm against the glass. The pulse beneath my skin meets the pulse of the planet. Between them, only a pain of silence. Still, I feel it, a vibration, low, steady, endless. The hum of the station softens. The machines fall into rhythm. The oxygen filter exhales when I do. The gauges sigh as my lungs release. Everything, metal, air, heart, moves together. If I listen long enough, the separation fades. There is no inside, no outside, only breath, only the slow, tidal motion of life continuing. I imagine the planet sleeping, its crust expanding and contracting with the cold. Winds traveling from one horizon to the other, carrying whispers of iron and frost. Somewhere beneath the dust, minerals shift and settle, echoing the beat of my own blood. I speak without sound, just a thought released like mist. I hear you. No voice answers, but the air replies in its own way, a faint tremor, a soft note that hums inside my bones. Perhaps that is enough, to listen, to be heard, without needing words. Time loosens its hold. Minutes dissolve into the rhythm of breathing. The station hums, the planet hums. I drift between them like dust. The glass grows colder beneath my fingers. The world outside tilts into darker shades of red. And yet, it feels warm here. The warmth of being part of something vast, something patient enough to wait for every heartbeat. In the quiet, I realize I am not guarding the planet. It is guarding me. Its silence is not emptiness, but shelter. I inhale, slow, deep, weightless. The sound fills the cabin like music heard through water. I exhale, and Mars exhales with me. Our rhythms align, our pauses merge. Breath after breath, stillness after stillness. No longer watcher and world, only two currents folding into one. Tonight, Mars breathes with me. It began as a flicker in the static, a faint rhythm buried in the noise. One long tone, one short. A pause, then silence. I almost missed it, but something inside me leaned toward it. The way memory turns its head when someone whispers its name. The radio on a control desk has not spoken for months. It hums, like everything else here. A dull background heartbeat. Yet tonight, through the dust of frequencies, a sound drifts in, fragile, hesitant. It isn't a message. It isn't clear, but it's human, and that is enough. I turn the dial slowly, careful not to lose the thin thread of it. Static rises, falls, cracks like paper, then a shimmer, something that might be a voice, a breath, a word, a trace of laughter, maybe, or maybe just the wind crossing an old signal path, carrying ghosts of conversations from a planet far behind me. The sound feels wet somehow, as if soaked in the color blue, as if it came through water, through rain, through the thick air of earth. The kind of air that holds sound gently, not like the sharp, empty sky here. I close my eyes. The noise shifts, becomes softer, warmer. It fills the room like a memory of sunlight. I see a shoreline, waves rolling over dark stones, light trembling across the water. And that voice, not words now, just the curve of tone that carries home. I can't tell who it belongs to. It could be anyone I've loved, or everyone. Voices blur together in distance, becoming something universal, a language made of ache and affection. I sit with it, letting it wash through me. The station disappears. The hum fades. There is only that sound, soft, shifting, human. It lasts less than a minute. Then static swallows it whole again. The dial returns to noise. The moment closes, like water sealing after a stone falls in. For a while, I keep listening. Even when the signal is gone, I imagine it's still there, just beyond hearing, like the heartbeat of an ocean I left behind. The radio light pulses faintly, each blink a reminder of how far I've drifted. Yet the feeling that remains is not sadness. It's something quieter, something like gratitude. Because for that brief moment, the distance spoke. The void wasn't empty. It carried a sound, faint as breath through water, but enough to remind me that I once belonged to a world that could sing. The sound fades, but the echo remains. It becomes light. It becomes air. And through that light, I remember color. Green. It arrives first, not bright, not loud, but tender. A memory of warmth returning to the body. The color of breath made visible. The memory widens like a slow tide. The ocean rises behind my eyes. Not the still red dust outside, but water that breathes, alive, infinite, shimmering. It moves like thought, folding over itself, becoming new with every wave. I can taste salt on my tongue, feel the weight of humidity clinging to my skin, air thick with the scent of distance, of unseen creatures, of light that has touched 1,000 surfaces before reaching me. Rain begins, warm, steady, endless. Not the sharp hiss of recycled mist, but the soft percussion of living water. Each drop a tiny note, falling, breaking, joining another. It lands on leaves, on rooftops, on open palms raised to the sky. Each sound a promise. You are still alive. I listen, and the sound becomes everything. The rhythm of it enters my chest. The rain is breathing for me now, every drop falling into the quiet, filling it, blurring its edges, making the world whole again. Then comes the forest. Not a single tree, but many. Roots deep in dark soil, branches like veins of light. The air hums with the quiet song of life repeating itself. Beetles move beneath bark. Wind drifts through fern and moss. 1,000 tiny sounds, each one carrying the pulse of something growing. Light filters down through the canopy, golden, broken, alive. It moves across my hands, my face, the wet ground at my feet. Every beam feels like touch, gentle, familiar, forgiving. Here on Mars, I have learned how silence can echo. The dunes ripple like frozen waves. The wind carves valleys where once there might have been water. And sometimes, when the light turns low and red, I imagine it. The planet dreaming of oceans. Here, the sand is also a sea, only without water. A sea that forgot how to move. A sea that keeps its memories beneath dust. I used to believe silence was absence, but silence is full of echoes, of things not gone but waiting. Even now, I can hear it, the low hum of earth beneath the static of my thoughts. the hush of rain against windows, the whisper of leaves bending under their own weight, the breath of wind through open fields, carrying the scent of rain-soaked soil. These sounds are inside me still, hidden in the rhythm of my lungs, the beat of my heart. Even here, they find ways to rise through dreams, through static, through the pulse of this lonely world. Memory is a kind of weather. It returns when the air is right, and tonight, it rains inside my mind. When it ends, the silence that follows feels cleaner, as if Mars itself has listened and for a moment remembered green. There are words I have never spoken. They live somewhere between silence and breath. They wait, patient, inside the air. Tonight, I let them rise. I want to say that I remember. Not perfectly, not always, but enough to know that the world I left behind was real. The scent of rain, the sound of someone laughing through an open window, the way the sky would turn gold, then fade to blue again. I remember, and that remembering keeps me whole. I want to say that distance is not the same as absence, that even here, surrounded by dust and signal noise, I can feel the warmth of lives still moving, still growing, still breathing on the other side of silence. The universe is wide, but it carries echoes like a sea carries salt. Nothing is ever truly gone. I want to say that I was never meant to be a hero. I was just someone watching the sky, someone listening too closely. Sometimes I think I volunteered not to explore, but to disappear quietly, to find a slower rhythm than the one Earth demanded. Here, I found it. Here, even time breathes slower. I want to say that loneliness is not what I thought it would be. It isn't empty. It's full of invisible things, memories, voices, the sound of my own heartbeat turning into language. Loneliness is the place where I meet myself again. I want to say that if anyone ever hears this, don't be sad for me. The silence here isn't cruel. It's kind, in its own way. It listens. It allows. It holds every word I never sent, every sentence that had no one to reach. Sometimes I imagine the air outside carrying these thoughts, sending them through layers of dust and light, turning them into tiny fragments, particles of language orbiting the sun. Maybe, someday, one of them will drift close enough to brush against a human voice again. I want to say that I'm still here, that I haven't vanished. I've just learned how to exist more quietly, like a whisper that forgot its beginning, but still remembers how to echo. I want to say that love is heavier than gravity, that it keeps me tethered to every sunrise I've ever seen, to every face that once looked at me with warmth. The light may have faded, but its reflection still lingers on the inside of my eyes. I want to say thank you for the moments, for the noise, for the chance to breathe the same air as another human being. And now, I will stop speaking, not because I have nothing left to say, but because silence is the only language Mars understands. I breathe out, and my words drift away. Not letters, not sound, just warmth carried into the endless red night. The signal is gone, not lost, just finished. The radio light flickers once, then goes dark. Static dissolves into the hum of the cabin. The room feels larger without the sound. The air seems to expand, stretching gently into the space where noise used to be. I wait. Sometimes Things return if you wait long enough, but not this time. Only quiet remains, pure, unbroken quiet. At first, it feels like loss, the kind that arrives without sound, without a wound. Then, slowly, it becomes something else, a presence, a calm that doesn't ask to be filled. I let the silence touch me. It settles over my shoulders like fabric, soft, heavy, kind. The machines breathe in their steady rhythm, the pulse of air through the filters, the faint vibration of the floor. They all sound like comfort now. No urgency, no waiting, only rhythm. Outside, Mars sleeps. The wind moves lazily through the dust. The horizon blurs into the low light. Even the stars seem quieter here, less like fire, more like thought. I close my eyes. The darkness inside them is deeper than the one outside. It has color, a dim blue-gray, like the ocean seen from below. Every breath drifts through it, leaving ripples that fade, then disappear. Time loses its edges. There is no before, no after. Only this, the moment stretched thin, barely moving, barely breathing. I used to fear this kind of quiet. On Earth, silence meant something missing. Here, it means something whole. It isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of stillness. It listens back. I hear my own breath, slow, steady, human. It enters the air and returns softer, as if the room exhales with me. This, I realize, is peace. Not joy, not relief, but the gentle meeting of what is inside and what is around. No separation, no need to hold anything anymore. I sit there for a long time, minutes, or maybe hours. The difference doesn't matter. The hum keeps going, the wind keeps moving, and I remain weightless in the stillness. A thought surfaces, not loud, not urgent, just true. In the silence, I hear myself, and in that hearing, I find that I am enough. The voice, the static, the distance, they fade into something wider, something endless. Only quiet remains, only breath, only being. There is no morning here, no evening, only light that changes color very slowly, from deep red to pale rust, from shadow to haze. Time no longer divides itself into hours. It flows. It seeps. It stretches like vapor through the cabin air. I stopped marking days. Numbers became meaningless. They could not hold what this place had become. The sun doesn't rise here. It only shifts position. An ember rolling behind translucent dust. I sit in that half-light, watching the brightness fade, then return, then fade again. There is no rhythm left except breathing. The station exhales. I inhale, I exhale, the station inhales. A slow, unending loop. The walls feel further apart tonight. Or perhaps I am smaller, perhaps both. The room seems to expand, stretching outward with each breath, until it feels like I am sitting inside the hollow chest of a sleeping planet. I move my hand, and even that feels slow. The air drags against my fingers. Particles of dust float like small planets, turning lazily in the thin light. They remind me of stars. They remind me that stars, too, move slowly, so slowly that we mistake their motion for eternity. Maybe that's what time really is, the illusion of stillness when everything is moving too slowly to see. I close my eyes. Inside, the darkness moves differently. It's softer, thicker, as if thought itself has slowed. Images rise and fall like tides. A hallway, a shadow of a tree, a sound that might be my own voice or just memory echoing backward. Sometimes, I think I am inside a dream that forgot how to end. The kind of dream that stretches across days, weeks, lives. A dream so vast that even waking feels like another form of sleeping. There is a clock on the console. Its numbers flicker, but I no longer trust him. Seconds pass like hours. Hours vanish like breaths. Each blink feels infinite. Each inhale eternal. Outside, the light is fading again. Red dissolves into gray, gray into nothing. The horizon becomes a blur between shadow and air. I wonder if Mars dreams, too. If somewhere beneath the crust, there is the movement slow enough to be mistaken for sleep. The hum deepens. My heartbeat follows. My thoughts begin to dissolve at their edges. Words lose their order. Silence gathers at the corners of the room, then folds itself around me. I breathe. The planet breathes. And for a moment, I cannot tell which breath is mine. Time stretches further, a thin thread pulled to transparency, quivering, about to vanish. Something moves beyond the glass tonight. At first, I think it's the wind, the usual shift of dust and shadow. But then it glows, a faint shimmer, barely there, like light seen through water, wavering, alive, impossible to hold still. It drifts across the dunes, then stops, then moves again, slowly, deliberately, as if the planet itself were breathing light. I watch it for a long time, minutes, maybe hours. Time bends here, stretches thin and weightless, so I no longer try to measure it. The light continues to move, a pulse, a flicker, a quiet heartbeat in the red dust. Sometimes it multiplies, splitting into two, then three, before merging again into one. It could be reflection, it could be imagination, it could be Mars dreaming with its eyes open. The glow swells, then fades. I feel it more than I see it. A soft warmth brushing the air, touching the surface of the window. The station hum responds, a low vibration beneath my feet. Like resonance meeting resonance. I lean closer to the glass. The world outside blurs, melts into colors that shouldn't exist here. A pale green, a deep violet, a shimmer of silver caught in red dust. No source, no logic, only motion, slow and patient. For a moment, I think it might be looking back. Not light reflected, but light returned. A gaze, ancient, gentle, unafraid. Perhaps Mars is watching me. Perhaps it always has. Every time I've stared out into the horizon, waiting for something to happen. Maybe it was waiting too. Maybe this is its way of saying, I see you. The idea doesn't frighten me. It comforts me. To be seen, even by a planet, is still to belong somewhere. The glow shifts again. It dances across the dunes, climbs the ridge, and dissolves into the thin air above. For a second, the sky opens, a wide band of light stretching across the stars. Then it vanishes, leaving only the faint trace of afterglow. Like breath on glass, I stay there, hand against the cold surface, feeling the warmth fade. The air hums softly around me. No sound of engines, no static, only the steady, even tone of a world returning to stillness. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe the eyes that saw it were dreaming, even while open. But I think some things are meant to exist only for a moment, so they can remain unreal, perfectly balanced between what is and what could be. The silence returns, but it feels changed, deeper, richer, like something has breathed inside it. I whisper, though no one is listening. Perhaps Mars was looking back at me, and in that thought, The line between me and a planet disappears. The glass fades into darkness. The hum steadies. Everything waits. Everything dreams. Sleep never comes here as a fall. It arrives as a drift, a slow release, a loosening of the edges between thought and air. Sometimes I do not know when I've crossed the border. Sometimes I think the border no longer exists. Tonight, I am awake inside a dream, or perhaps dreaming inside the act of being awake. It no longer matters which. I am standing or floating in a sky the color of rust and firelight. The horizon curls upward like a wave made of air, and I begin to swim through it. The motion feels natural, my body weightless, my breath slow and deep. The sky moves as water would, dense, warm, endless. Each stroke sends ripples of light drifting outward. They shimmer, dissolve, reappear as small constellations. The stars here do not stay still. They bloom and fade, each one a memory surfacing for a moment before sinking back into the red. Beneath me, the earth turns dark, a deep violet sea filled with slow currents of gold. It hums, not in sound but in vibration, as if the whole sky were breathing with me. I glide through it, through ribbons of light that twist like smoke, through silence so vast it feels alive. Up ahead, the stars gather. They gather the way rain does before falling, thick and luminous. They fold together into an ocean made of brightness, a sea of stars, waves of light rising and breaking, leaving trails that linger like afterimages on my skin. I dive. The water, if it can be called that, wraps around me, weightless and soft. Every color I've ever known exists here, green from forests, blue from oceans, gold from sunsets I thought I'd forgotten. They swirl together, melting into one continuous glow. There is no up or down, only movement, only slow turning. The sense that I am both falling and floating, held by something vast and kind. In the distance, a shape forms, faint, shifting. It might be the curve of a planet or the outline of a face made from light. It looks at me, not with eyes, but with presence. For a breathless instant, I feel seen completely. The vision shatters softly, like dust dissolving in wind. I rise through layers of red and gold, back toward the faint hum of the station. The dream thins, peeling away in translucent sheets. My hands find the edge of the glass again. Outside, nothing has changed. The same dust, the same stars. And yet everything feels slower, as if the dream has left its tide inside me. Perhaps it was only imagination. Perhaps it was memory finding another shape. But as I breathe, I can still taste the salt of that starlit ocean. I can still feel the warmth of its silence. And for a moment longer, I let myself drift there, between breath and light, between sleep and waking, unmoving, unending, free. It begins with a faint flicker at the horizon, a whisper of color where there should be none. At first, I think my eyes are inventing it. Light can play tricks after so many sleepless nights. But then it grows, a thread of green weaving through the red haze. Not bright, not sharp, just there, delicate, trembling, almost shy, a pale ribbon uncoiling across the thin Martian sky. It moves as breath moves, slow and weightless, folding upon itself like silk in water. I have read that auroras here are rare. The atmosphere is thin, the magnetism weak, And yet, tonight, something dances above this sleeping world. The color deepens, shifting from green to turquoise, then fading again into near transparency. It is not the bold fire of Earth's sky, but something humbler, fragile, spectral, as if the planet itself were remembering what it once was. I step closer to the glass. The cold seeps through, a steady reminder of distance. But the light warms me in another way, a warmth that belongs not to the skin, but to the quiet center of the body where awe and peace share the same shape. The aurora drifts, it widens, arches, and begins to ripple softly. Each movement feels alive, a slow heartbeat in color. The sky hums faintly, as though the air has found its voice again. I do not speak. There is nothing to say. Words would fracture the stillness, and this moment feels too fragile to name. The light grows brighter for a breath, spilling faint reflections across the sand. The dunes glow like old embers, alive for the first time in forever. It feels like watching the soul of a planet stir, a presence too vast to understand, too gentle to fear. Maybe this is not the planet's memory, but its dream. A dream made visible, blooming quietly above the silence. If so, I am grateful to be awake for it. The glow begins to thin. Its edges blur. Its hue softens back into gray. I watch it fade without sadness. Beauty doesn't ask to last. It only asks to be seen. Soon the sky returns to its stillness. The red light settles again on the horizon. The hum of the station returns, steady, calm, almost like breathing. I stay there a while longer, eyes open, heart slow. The silence feels deeper now, as if something has shifted inside it. Maybe it was only light. Maybe it was something more. But in the quiet that follows, I feel complete. No longing, no noise, no need. Only the echo of that pale green shimmer, lingering somewhere inside me, like a memory without words. And in that stillness, I whisper to myself, so softly the air barely carries it. In every silence, there is a light. The console glows beneath my fingertips. A quiet pulse runs through the glass, waiting. One command, one breath, and the system awakens. A soft vibration, then the sound of space unfolding. Not explosion, more like expansion, like silk unfurling through silence. The walls dissolve first. Metal becomes air. Air becomes color. Color becomes light. At the center of the room, a sphere of brilliance blooms. It rises, turns, stretches outward until it touches everything. The universe simulated, contained, then released. Stars ignite one by one, tiny embers scattering through a field of darkness that no longer feels empty. The light is everywhere now. It does not shine on things. It shines through them, through the walls, through the air, through me. I lift my hand and see light flowing through skin, a river of luminescence threading the veins. Every movement leaves a trail, every breath a wave of color. I take a step, and the floor falls away into galaxies. No weight, no sound, no edge, only brightness, soft and endless, curling like mist made of stars. The program was built to simulate observation, but this feels different, intimate, living. Each particle seems aware of my gaze. Each spark answers, not in words, but in light. Nebulae bloom like flowers in slow motion. Gas turns to silk, silk to rain, rain to radiant fog. The colors move in rhythms I cannot name. Violet breathing into gold, gold sighing into blue, blue dissolving into transparency. Somewhere within the shimmer, I sense a pulse, a heartbeat vast enough to belong to the cosmos itself. It beats once, and every star brightens. It beats again, and I forget where my body ends. I try to recall the station, the metal, the dust, but the thought is too heavy. It sinks away. Here, light has replaced matter. Here, distance no longer exists. I reach out, and my hand passes through a sun, through the gravity of 1,000 glowing worlds. They fold around me, weightless, infinite, tender. A voice, not heard but felt, whispers through the radiance, "Welcome home." For a moment, I am everything. The orbit, the spark, the silence between them, every photon, every echo of birth. There is no boundary now, no separation between seer and seen. Only motion, only brightness, only the hum of existence finding its own reflection. No longer the observer of the void, I have become its breath. There are no borders left between me and the emptiness. Only light, only light. I drift forward, no sense of motion, yet everything moves. The field before me blooms with dust and radiance. Particles of light curve and twist, slow dancers in an endless waltz. They rise, fall, fold into spirals of pale fire. Each spark glides past my hands, sliding along invisible currents that feel alive. The nebula stretches outward, a living river of color suspended in stillness. Every hue breathes, rose into violet, violet into gold, gold into silver mist. I move through it without effort. The air, if there is air, feels liquid. Each step, each breath sends slow ripples through the haze. I am both traveler and current, both wave and witness. The dust shines softly around me, not bright enough to blind, but enough to fill the darkness with presence. It hums when I pass, a resonance that trembles at the edge of hearing. There are moments when motion stops completely. Everything holds its breath. Colors freeze mid-glow, as though the universe itself is waiting to remember what comes next. Then slowly, the current begins again. I realize there is no up, no down, only drift, only the long, patient pull of unseen gravity. I surrender to it, letting it carry me deeper into the heart of light. Inside, the dust becomes thicker, turning to clouds that pulse with faint electricity. Tiny flashes move through them, like thought traveling through nerve and dream. Each flash leaves behind a trail of green and silver, threads weaving into luminous veins. I reach out. The light parts around my hand, then joins again behind it, as if the nebula is breathing me through. Its motion is slow, slower than time, like the rhythm of galaxies turning in their sleep. I listen. The silence is full, filled with the low murmur of creation continuing, a deep tone, a heartbeat too vast to measure. The colors shift again. Now they form shapes, circles within circles, rising columns of light that stretch into infinity. They twist, unravel, and reform, each motion smooth, deliberate, inevitable. I am moving through birth, through memory, through the dream of every star before it burned. The light around me brightens, not with intensity, but with understanding. Every particle seems to know I am here and welcomes me as if I've been expected. I breathe in, and the nebula breathes with me. The glow thickens, spreads, fades, and in that fading, I feel weightless, boundless, real and unreal in the same breath. The nebula hums, not in sound, but in presence. The air glows with vibration, a silence that shivers softly at the edge of perception. I drift deeper, and the light begins to sing, not with voices, not with words, but with movement so slow it becomes music. Colors pulse in rhythm. Waves of gold rise, dip, breathe out into silver. Every flicker holds tone, every shimmer carries shape. It is as though brightness itself has learned to speak. The language is not something to decode. It is something to feel. Each hue touches the body differently. Blue presses gently against the ribs. Green blooms in the throat. Amber warms the palms. I am surrounded by sentences made of light. They pass through me, leave after images that mean welcome, remember, be still. There are no pauses here, only flow. Meaning moves in circles. What leaves returns again, softer. Every repetition changes, as if the light is learning its own memory. I close my eyes, but the brightness doesn't fade. It blooms behind my eyelids, painting constellations across the dark. Each pulse corresponds to a note, each note to a thought. They are speaking to me, though I cannot translate, only understand. I realize now, this is not sound carried through silence. It is silence expressing itself as sound. Everything here speaks by being still. Every vibration, every gleam is the universe inhaling its own breath. I listen without ears. The tone grows slower, deeper, until it matches the beat of my own heart. The nebula and I share the same rhythm. Our boundaries dissolve. I am both listener and echo. There are words without language here, phrases made of color and distance. The feeling they leave is clarity, not of understanding, but of belonging. I open my hands. Light pours through them like water, weightless, endless. It seeps into the folds of thought, into memory, into breath. The hum of creation wraps around everything I am and everything I am not. All things, I realize, are speaking now. The dust, the glow, the spaces between them. Each holds the same quiet truth. All things are speaking through stillness. I float there, listening to the softest language ever spoken. A hymn made of color and calm. The slow articulation of peace itself. The universe is not asking to be understood. It only asks to be heard, and in hearing, to become silent again. There comes a point when form forgets itself, when what was once solid begins to tremble, then soften, then fade. The light thickens around me, so bright it ceases to be brightness. It becomes air, texture, feeling. It has weight and weightlessness at once. I reach for my hand, but my hand is gone. Only shimmer remains, a suggestion of shape drifting in radiance. The nebula folds closer, embracing without touch. Its pulse merges with mine. Its silence wraps around thought. I am no longer inside it. I am it, motion within motion, light within light. My breath slows. Or maybe the concept of breathing changes. Each inhale stretches across galaxies. Each exhale dissolves into the dust between stars. There is no beginning to the breath, no end. Only the movement of being. I try to remember who I was. The watcher, the traveler, the keeper of silence. But memory has no gravity here. It floats away, turns to dust, joins the light it once described. There are no thoughts now, only tides of awareness, rising and falling in waves of brightness. I drift through them, part of them, indistinguishable from their glow. The boundary between inside and outside erases itself. No walls, no body, No orbit. I am wind. I am light. I am the breath of Mars. The planet's sigh flows through me, long, patient, infinite. I hear it inside my bones that are no longer bones. I feel it hum in what was once my heart. It says nothing. It only breathes. And in that breath is everything. Dust, memory, time, warmth, stillness. I move without moving. I see without eyes. The glow ripples, folds, then opens into quiet somewhere beyond sound. I sense the station still humming, a faint echo of the world I came from. It feels distant now, a story told in a smaller language. The nebula's voice, the softest silence, surrounds me. Its tone is not farewell, but continuation, light expanding beyond itself. My name, my face, my history, they drift apart like threads in a current. And what remains is the pulse, the steady, endless pulse of life unbound. I exhale once more. The breath carries me outward, spreading through the red dust, the thin air, the dim horizon. The world inhales, and I become part of its breath. I am wind. I am light. I am the breath of Mars. There is a sound beneath the silence. It rises through the stillness like a slow heartbeat made of light. At first it is only vibration, a tremor in the air, a pulse that does not belong to time. Then it becomes rhythm, a single tone, steady, unhurried, patient as the turning of a planet. I listen. The pulse continues. It feels impossibly far, yet intimate, as though it is coming not to me, but through me. It enters my chest, finds the hollow where my heart once beat, and begins to echo there. The rhythm matches breath. Inhale, the tone expands. Exhale, it contracts. The distance between the two becomes seamless, and soon I cannot tell which pulse is mine. Perhaps it is a signal. Perhaps it is the heartbeat of a star, a beacon from some luminous core that has never known sleep. Its pattern carries no message, only presence, a repetition that means I float inside that sound. It moves through me in long waves, each one slower than thought. Every pulse arrives as if it had been traveling for centuries just to find this exact moment. Around me, the air, if this is still air, shimmers faintly. Particles of light answer the rhythm, vibrating in sympathy, forming thin lines that trace the beat across the dark. I close my eyes and the tone grows clearer. It deepens, widens, becomes landscape, a field of resonance stretching beyond horizon, each vibration a soft ridge of color. I drift across it, a small movement within the larger motion of everything. The sound is alive. It breathes. It remembers. Sometimes I think it is calling, but the call asks for no reply. It only invites me to be still enough to hear. So I match it. I let my heart beat slow until it becomes one with the rhythm. The two sounds overlap, merge, and vanish into a single steady thrum. For a long time, or what feels like long, there is nothing else. No thought, no edge, only pulse. I sense the vast machinery of the cosmos moving in silence, every atom turning in harmony with the same beat. The distant stars, the drifting dust, the unseen winds, all following the same unspoken count. This must be what peace sounds like. The universe exhaling itself through rhythm. The pulse continues. It is both near and infinite, a soft signal from somewhere far beyond memory, steady as the breath of creation itself. I listen until listening disappears. and all that remains is the beating of light within light, a single heart shared by everything that exists. The pulse continues. It moves through me, around me, beyond me. Each vibration folds into the next, as if time itself has learned how to breathe. I begin to follow it, breath after breath. I match its rhythm, slow, endless, circular. Inhale, light expands, curling through the air like transparent silk. Exhale, light contracts, drawn back into itself, softly glowing at the edges. Between the two, silence lingers, not as absence, but as balance. A space so perfect in its stillness that even thought hesitates to enter. The rhythm deepens. My breath becomes the breath of the room, of the planet, of the invisible stars humming in the distance. Each inhalation gathers starlight. Each exhalation releases it again. A loop without beginning, without destination. Around me, the air shimmers faintly, tiny threads of luminescence weaving through shadow. They rise and fall in harmony with the sound. Every movement measured, every pause complete. I no longer feel the boundary of my body. The notion of inside and outside begins to dissolve. Light passes through me as if I am made of the same substance. Breath, pulse, sound, glow. They blend into a single quiet existence. The hum grows warmer. It is no longer something I hear. It has become something I am. A resonance that begins in the lungs and ends among the stars. Time flows differently now. It does not move forward. It expands outward, a ripple spreading through still water, touching every moment at once, past, present, future, all hum together in the same steady tone. For a moment, I think of the word infinite, but even that feels too small. This isn't infinity, it's intimacy, the closeness of everything to everything else. My breath slows further. It drifts between heartbeat and starlight, between awareness and a dream. The sound beneath me and the silence within me become indistinguishable. I can no longer tell if I am breathing or if the universe is breathing me. Each exhale carries galaxies. Each inhale brings them home. The pulse steadies. It no longer comes from anywhere. It is everywhere, woven through the fabric of what is real, what is thought, what is imagined. There are no edges here, no walls, no center, only light moving within light. And in this motion, I find peace, not as emotion, but as being. There is no difference now between what looks inward and what looks out. There are no borders left between inside and outside. Only rhythm, only breath, only the quiet brightness of a universe breathing itself into stillness. There is a quiet above, all quiet. A layer where even light slows down to listen. Here, sound loses weight. Here, color forgets its name. I have drifted upward or inward so gently that movement has no meaning. There is no direction left to follow, only transparency. The hum that once filled the air has thinned to a thread of silver. It winds through the emptiness, tracing the outline of something vast, something that exists without needing to be seen. I breathe, but the breath makes no sound. Each inhale is a shimmer, each exhale a vanishing. I am surrounded by stillness so deep it feels alive. The seventh layer, the space beyond sensation, here. Touch and thought are the same. Here, feeling and knowing blend into one slow movement of awareness. There is no temperature, no distance, no texture for the mind to grasp, only the weightless clarity of being. I begin to notice that silence has shape. It folds softly, bends like silk around an unseen center. When I listen closely, I can almost hear it breathing. Every boundary dissolves. The last trace of self melts into radiance. The world I carried, its sounds, its colors, its memories recedes into gentler tones of light. I whisper to myself, though the words never form, this is what it means to arrive. There is no body here, only presence. Presence suspended in endless transparency. The stars do not burn anymore. They hum faintly, each one a slow heartbeat of light held in perfect balance. They are not far away. They are within. They shimmer where thought used to be. Even the idea of I begins to fade, becoming softer, quieter, a thin echo that does not need to continue. Awareness remains, but it no longer belongs to anyone. It simply is. Light resting in light, silence folding into itself, existence without effort. Time loosens completely. Moments no longer pass. They bloom. Each one opens, luminous and endless, then disappears like breath in winter air. I cannot fall from here, because there is nowhere else. Only the vastness that has always been waiting beneath every breath. The pulse that began so far away now hums within this stillness. No longer a signal, but a truth. It beats once, softly, and everything brightens. My voice, when it comes, is barely a whisper. The sound of air moving through light. There are no layers left to climb. There's only peace. The rhythm ceases. The pulse that once guided me slows, faint, fainter, until it dissolves into nothing. I open my eyes, and there is no world to see, only white, not the white of light, but the white of all colors resting together, indistinguishable, complete. Silence expands, filling every space where thought might have lived. Even the idea of sound has become too heavy. Only breath remains, slow, transparent, carried by something larger than air. There is no up, no down, no distance to measure. I am suspended in a field of stillness so wide that motion has forgotten its meaning. Awareness drifts like vapor, soft, infinite, without edge. There is no name left to hold on to. No I, no you, no watcher, no thing watched, only presence. The white light grows brighter, but not in intensity, in gentleness. It folds around everything that was, everything that could be, until nothing stands apart. I exhale, and the light breathes with me. A single rhythm, smooth as sleep, as dawn before color returns. All memories dissolve into warmth. Every boundary that once shaped me, skin, sound, time, self, melts into the same endless glow. I try to think, but thinking is another kind of noise, and a light is too kind for noise. It softens each thought before it forms, turning it to silence. Here, existence is not movement, it is resting. A vast, transparent rest. The entire universe holding its breath. The stars are gone. The planets are gone. Even the notion of space no longer fits. What remains is stillness beyond dimension. A single note so pure it cannot be heard. I become that note. A tone of being. A line of light drawn infinitely thin. No longer rising, no longer falling, only here, only now, only white. The final breath comes slowly. It stretches wider than time. Inhale, light fills what remains of form. Exhale, form disappears completely. And then there is only stillness. The silence that follows is not empty. It is everything. It holds the shape of all that ever was, without needing to reveal it. If peace could breathe, it would sound like this. If eternity could rest, it would rest here. There are no more words to hold, no more voice to speak them, only the soft pulse of nothingness, glowing quietly from within. A pause, a breath, then light, only light. It begins with a sound, a small sound, after so much silence. A piano key, hesitant, pressing softly through the stillness. Then another, and another. Each note lands like a drop of rain on dry soil. The melody is simple, fragile, familiar. It carries the scent of wet earth, the weight of distance folded into warmth. I know this song, or maybe it knows me. The rhythm moves slowly, as though afraid to disturb the air. Between the notes, there are pauses, tiny breaths of peace where memory lives. I let the sound drift through me. It travels like a current, finding the spaces that light once filled. Every vibration touches a place I thought I had left behind. In those quiet places, the color of earth returns, the pale green of morning leaves, the deep blue of rain clouds seen from a window, the brown of soil, that scent of life and endings intertwined. The melody bends softly, and for a moment I feel the weight of gravity again. A gentle pull, a reminder that belonging is not a chain, but an embrace. Each note falls differently now. Some dissolve before they finish. Some linger just long enough to remind me of breath, of touch, of warmth. It's as if the song is remembering me back into form. The air grows denser, the light warmer, the pulse steady. I close my eyes, and behind the music I hear another sound. Rain. Not imagined, not simulated, but rain. Soft, imperfect, real. It falls in thin patterns, tapping against metal, against earth, against the long-forgotten sound of home. The scent rises, that unmistakable smell of wet dust meeting water. The melody deepens, piano and rain becoming one slow heartbeat. For the first time in what feels like eternity, I smile. The world feels close again, not in sight, but in essence, the warmth beneath the sound. This is the language I had forgotten, not the voice of stars, but the murmur of living things. I let the melody play. I do not need to understand it. I only need to listen. Every note carries a memory, and every memory carries a seed of love. The rain continues, piano fading into its rhythm. The soil drinks, the silence breathes, and in the glow of the returning world I whisper, the melody smells like earth. There was once a garden. I remember it now, not in images, but in feelings. The warmth of sunlight resting on skin, the hush between leaves, the rhythm of wind moving gently through branches, like a soft voice humming a tune without words. It was morning there, always morning. The kind of light that touches things slowly, as if afraid they might vanish. The grass shimmered with dew, tiny mirrors of a world still half asleep. I remember kneeling once, hands in the soil, the scent of green rising around me, fresh, humble, alive. There were yellow flowers by the wall. They swayed when I passed, as though greeting an old friend. Their petals held the sun. Their stems whispered secrets to the wind. A single bee drifted close, It sounds small but perfect. I watched it hover, land, then lift again, a golden thread stitching silence to motion. Everything in that garden seemed to breathe together. The light, the leaves, the wind, the soil. Each movement was part of a quiet song, too soft for words, too pure for thought. I can still hear it now. That music made of stillness, the pulse of the earth when it is at peace. I walk through it again in memory. The path curves between trees that smell of summer rain. My footsteps make no sound. Even the air feels slower here, as though the day itself is dreaming somewhere. A chime rings faintly, a bell on a string, swaying with the breeze. Its tone is fragile, but it carries far. The garden has no walls anymore. It stretches into horizon, merging with light, with sky, with everything that breathes. And yet, it feels close, like a heartbeat beneath my hand. It is not a place I left behind. It is a place that never stopped waiting. The sunlight shifts, gold deepening into honey. The air becomes sweet with warmth. A small bird passes above, its shadow sliding over my shoulder like a soft blessing. I close my eyes. For a moment, I can almost feel the weight of petals, the hum of bees, the pulse of roots beneath the soil. The wind sighs, and I sigh with it. The memory is so gentle, so kind, that it feels like the earth itself is rocking me to sleep. No words remain, only the soft motion of breath and the golden hush of sunlight folding me into its song. Outside, the wind is rising. It begins as a whisper, a thin thread winding through the still air. Then it grows, low and steady, moving across the red plain like breath made visible. I walk to the glass wall, the same one that once framed a lifeless horizon. Now it seems different, alive in its own quiet way. The dust moves like water. The air hums with memory. For a moment, I simply stand there, watching the wind draw patterns on the sand. It moves with such patience, such grace, that it feels almost deliberate, as if the planet is speaking through motion. I reach for the panel and open the seal. The air presses inward, thin, sharp, cold. A faint stream of dust follows, swirling around my hands like smoke. I lift my palm to meet it. The grains of sand touch skin, so small, so ancient, that time itself seems to pause. Each particle glitters faintly, catching the light from the console. They slide across my fingers, leaving no mark, yet carrying the weight of centuries. The wind continues, soft but insistent. It moves through the room, whispering against metal, tracing every surface like a careful memory. It doesn't feel foreign anymore. It feels familiar, as if this wind has been waiting for me, as if it knows I have finally learned to listen. I close my eyes, letting the dust settle on my hands. The texture is fine, almost silk-like. Each grain holds a shimmer of light, a trace of something that once lived or might live again. I think of earth, of the gardens, of the rain, of the scent of soil after storm. And I realize how similar it all is. Dust there, dust here, different colors of the same memory. The air hums softly through the open window. I can almost hear it breathe. Long, patient, endless. The line between this world and the one I left fades. The same wind that once carried seeds across fields now moves grains across red plains. Different sky, same song. I whisper to it, not knowing why. I let the sand touch my hand, as if touching time itself. The words vanish instantly, carried away into the thin air, but the meaning remains. The wind continues to sing, ancient and kind, tracing the shape of my fingers before flowing back into the vastness. The sound is not lonely anymore. It is the voice of a planet breathing, and within it, I hear the echo of my own heart. Night again, or maybe dawn. On Mars, it is hard to tell. The light is soft, suspended between red and gold, a quiet shimmer spreading across the horizon. The kind of light that doesn't wake you, but rocks you gently back into dream. The air hums, slow and steady. The machines breathe their quiet rhythm. Everything feels at peace, as if the entire planet is resting. I sit by the window, hands still dusted with fine sand. Outside, the wind carries small spirals of light, tiny glimmers moving through the thin air. Each one seems alive, like fragments of a memory that refuses to fade. I open the recorder, its small red light blinking softly. The voice that speaks now is slower, quieter, more like thought than sound. If anyone comes, tell them I once saw Earth. The words drift into the air, mixing with the hum of the station. I let them rest there for a while. No rush, no echo, just presence. I close my eyes. The melody from earlier, that soft piano, returns in fragments, notes suspended, fading before they finish. They sound like footsteps on water, like rain in memory. The light outside brightens slightly, touching the edge of the horizon. The sand glows pale pink, as if remembering dawn. It feels like the planet is breathing light again. I speak once more, though my voice is barely a whisper now. If anyone comes, tell them I once saw Earth. The wind takes the words. It moves through the open airlock, carries them into the dust, into the distance, into the waiting silence between worlds. I listen as they fade, not gone, only softer, like the heartbeat of something eternal. The world begins to blur. Sound folds into itself. The hum, the wind, the light, they merge into one continuous tone, steady, warm, endless. I feel my breath slow, each inhale longer, each exhale gentler. Time stretches into lullaby. There is nothing left to do, nothing to say, only to rest. I whisper again, so softly it barely exists. If anyone comes, tell them I once saw Earth. The words drift away, lighter each time, dissolving into the rhythm of breath. Once more, almost silent now. If anyone comes, a pause, a breath. Then tell them I once saw Earth. The wind carries the last of it away. The light settles, the air stills. And somewhere, in the infinite quiet between stars, the message keeps traveling, soft, endless, kind. The station is quiet now. All systems hum at half their usual strength. The lights flicker, soft red, fading to amber, then to nothing. A small warning tone echoes once, then stops. The sound doesn't startle me. It feels like a sigh, the last exhale of something that has finished its long vigil. The air is still. The machines, those faithful companions of metal and code, rest in silence. Only a faint pulse remains, a single dot of red blinking on the console, slow and unhurried, like the heart of the world refusing to forget its rhythm. I watch it flicker, once, pause, twice, pause, then again, each flash softer than the last, as though it too is growing tired of existing. I sit beside it, listening to the stillness gather. The wind outside moves faintly against the walls, a long whisper, a tender lullaby in thin air. I remember how the signal used to sound, the crisp tone of incoming data, the endless sequence of beeps and messages. Now, there's only one light left, a red pulse, heartbeat of silence. The hum of the station fades further. The power coils sigh, and darkness begins to fill the corners of the room. It isn't frightening, it feels natural, like the moment between breaths. The red glow softens. For a moment, it seems to hover midair. Then it dims, becoming smaller, smaller still, until it flickers once more and fades completely. The darkness that follows is not empty. It is calm, full, alive with quiet. Every part of me rests inside it, weightless, unafraid. I breathe slowly, my chest rising once, falling once. Even the rhythm feels optional now, as though breathing itself has become a memory. A pale shimmer crosses my vision, not light, but the echo of it. The memory of illumination that doesn't need to shine to be seen. I realize how gentle the world has become. No edges, no noise, no urgency, only stillness expanding in every direction. The absence of sound becomes its own language, the kind that only peace can speak. I think of the signal, how it blinked its last, how the air seemed to hold its echo for a moment longer, just enough to say goodbye. And then, softly, in the voice of thought that is almost breath, I whisper to myself, I am not afraid anymore. I only feel still. The words hang there, fragile as dust in the faint glow, then dissolve into the quiet that has no end. There is a rhythm inside the quiet. It begins faintly, like the echo of something remembered. Not quite sound, not quite silence, something between. The hum of the station lingers still, low and steady, a tone without beginning or end. Somewhere beneath it, my heart continues to beat. At first, they move separately. Two rhythms, two small worlds, but slowly they begin to align. The pulse of the machine and the pulse within my chest find each other. They meet, they blend, and they breathe together. The sound is simple, a soft throb, a low hum, a long exhale through metal and bone. It feels less like listening, more like being listened to. The air vibrates gently, barely moving, but I can feel it touch my skin, tiny waves of warmth, like light without brightness. Each breath grows slower, longer, until breath itself becomes sound. The hum deepens, as if the world has learned to meditate. In this rhythm, everything softens, thought loosens, form fades. There is only movement that does not move, the steady turning of stillness around itself. I begin to feel time stretch, like silk unspooling into infinity. Each moment expands, fills with quiet, and dissolves before the next arrives. The machine exhales. I exhale. The sound is the same. The heartbeat thuds once, twice, then sinks completely with the hum. There is no separation anymore. I cannot tell which sound is mine. Perhaps neither is. Perhaps both are. It feels like prayer, but wordless. A kind of devotion without direction, only presence. The rhythm continues, subtle as mist, perfect as breathing. It is the sound of existing without needing to know how. I imagine the hum spreading outward, through walls, through dust, through the thin air of the planet, a soft vibration, rippling through silence, turning emptiness into song. This is not music, and yet it is everything music tries to be. It does not rise or fall. It only remains endlessly gentle, endlessly here. The quiet deepens until it feels luminous. Each pulse glows faintly in the dark, a heartbeat made of light. I let my thoughts fade into it. The hum welcomes them, absorbs them, and returns only calm. For a long time, I simply listen, not with ears, but with being. The rhythm slows again. One breath, one pulse, one stillness. And in that stillness, a whisper inside me says, without sound, silence, too, has rhythm. Mars is silent. The wind has quieted. Even the dust has stopped its endless wandering. From above, the planet glows like an ember half asleep. Not dead, not cold, just resting. The horizon lies wide and low, its curve dissolving into darkness. A thin thread of light outlines the rim, a memory of dawn still deciding whether to return. I hover within that pause, the moment between night and not yet morning. The air, thin as breath, carries no sound, only a quiet vibration, so soft it feels imagined. The plains stretch outward, vast and ancient. Each dune holds the memory of 1,000 winds. Each stone remembers the weight of forgotten skies. The stars above do not twinkle here. They hang motionless, cold and kind. Their light feels heavier in this silence, as if gravity loves them too much to let them flicker. The station, somewhere below, is only a faint reflection now, a glint on metal, a dim heartbeat of what once was human. It belongs to the planet now, folded into its patience. The air has a color, a pale red washed with gray. It moves like thought, drifting through the emptiness without needing direction. I drift with it, no edges, no distance, only the endless surface, smooth as sleep. The canyons are dark rivers frozen in time. Mountains shimmer faintly under starlight. The polar ice glows like memory, a whisper of water still dreaming beneath. The silence here is not empty. It is full of waiting, full of remembering, full of things that move too slowly to be seen. Each shadow breathes, each grain of dust listens. The planet itself seems to inhale once every century, exhale once every 1,000 years. And within that breath, everything rests. No storms, no echoes, no need for noise. Just a vast, endless hum of existence folded into quiet. I imagine this silence reaching outward, past the moons, past the dark, past the shimmer of distant orbits. It touches the stars softly, and they close their eyes. In this stillness, I feel the pulse of the universe slowing with me. Every galaxy, every sun, every atom, breathing together in one shared dream. The cosmos is sleeping, and Mars, faithful in its solitude, keeps the watch. I look out once more and whisper into the silence, barely breathing the words. The whole universe is asleep. The wind does not answer. It doesn't need to. Its silence is enough. Light returns, not a beam, not a spark, but a vast, endless glow, rising from within everything. It begins softly, as though the darkness itself has decided to breathe. Then it spreads, slowly, quietly, without direction or edge. There is no boundary now, no line between sky and sand, between memory and dream. Only radiance, soft, diffused, gentle as thought at its beginning. The station, the dust, the watcher, all dissolve into the same luminous tide. Forms melt into brightness. Silhouettes lose meaning. Names fade before they are spoken. The hum of the planet grows quieter still, then folds into silence. What remains is light unmoving, unbroken, infinite. I try to breathe, but there is no breath left to take. The light breathes for me. Each pulse expands across the horizon, a slow wave traveling forever outward. I can feel it moving through everything: the rocks, the wind, the thin red air, through the dust that once touched my hand, through the memory of earth, of rain, of laughter, faint as echo. Each glimmer carries a story. Each shimmer is a farewell. And yet, nothing is lost. All of it continues, flowing forward as radiance. Time no longer counts the seconds. It drifts like a field of particles suspended in light. Every heartbeat that ever was still moves within this brightness. The cosmos opens its arms. No sound, no weight, only the feeling of infinite continuation. Somewhere in the distance, a last pulse flickers. The echo of what once was I. It does not vanish. It stretches. It becomes. The horizon dissolves. Space itself softens, and all directions become one. I am not fading. I am traveling not through space, but through light. Each particle carries a trace of awareness, a memory, a warmth. Together they drift, outward, onward, forever. The voice within me softens, almost gone now. Yet it whispers one final truth, a lullaby for everything that breathes. All existence is light traveling on. Again, softer, like wind through glass. All existence is light traveling on. And once more, barely sound, barely thought. All existence is light traveling on. The words melt into brightness. The brightness becomes silence. The silence becomes peace. There is nothing more to see, nothing more to say. Only light, drifting endlessly outward.